Hello my friends, Dom here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a feature that's somewhere inside Cubase, yet it's very possible that you might have never seen it, you might have never tried it, but you guessed it right. It's extremely powerful and can really bring your MIDI performances to life. This is yet another boom Cubase feature. Let's check it out. Today's video is kindly sponsored by nobody, by you, my friends, because this is something that was inspired by some of your comments, and again, something that I've seen while doing workshops, while meeting quite a few of you, and this is a feature that is inside Cubase, and it's an incredibly powerful MIDI feature, yet not many people know about this. If you didn't know about this, let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already, or if you want to support me, use the super thanks button right here. The feature that I'm going to talk about today is the MIDI modifiers. So, to begin with, what is the MIDI modifiers? The MIDI modifiers is basically something that's a plugin in Cubase. It's a MIDI plugin, or actually it exists in any instrument or MIDI track. Now, here's an instrument track that I have here with Retrolog. Just a very simple arpeggio. Let's bring up the MIDI modifier. They're gonna be here. So as you can see here, we have MIDI inserts and we have MIDI modifiers. Now, if you can't see that, then right click on any of these and make sure that MIDI modifiers is selected and active. The other way that you can load the MIDI modifiers is by using them as a plugin. So MIDI inserts, click on one of the slots and select MIDI modifiers. But since we have them right here, I'm just going to deal with this section. So, as you can see, we have quite a few presets, but I'm going to show you how to use them. Now, the MIDI modifiers is a way to modify your MIDI performances in real time. So this means you don't alter the MIDI performance, you don't go and change the notes, you don't go and change the velocities, you don't go and change anything. Your MIDI performance remains intact, unaltered, and you can do so many different things. Let's start, because there are many things to go through. I'm going to play this and you will see that the first thing that we have here is transpose. So this is in A minor. Let's transpose it to B minor. And you can see everything is in real time. Now, as you can see, now I've transposed this MIDI part 4 semitones up, but the notes that we see right here are still the original notes. So this means that our MIDI parts remain unaltered, which is a big benefit. The next thing that we can do is we can change the velocity shift. So for example, maybe I want to raise the velocity equally for all the notes of the MIDI part. Let's do it right here. Now, this is extremely useful when you have dynamic instruments, like, for example, what I have here. I have a piano here. Now let's say that to my taste, this was played a little bit too mezzo piano. I wanted it to be more of a piano dynamic. So I could go here, velocity shift, and just lower it a little bit. Or make it louder. Again, very useful, especially if you have a less than perfect MIDI controller and you end up recording with very loud dynamics, which is most of the times a very common theme when it comes to cheap MIDI controllers. They don't allow you to have soft dynamics. So this can be your savior right there. The next thing that you can do is you can compress the velocity. So for example, if I found this to have some jumpy notes, again from a cheap controller or less than perfect playing, we can compress the velocity like this. Let's play it. Now this will make your sound more homogeneous. Then we can have length. Let's try this. So as you can see, I'm changing the length right there. So again, very useful, especially when you have, arpeggios and stuff like this and you want to try different lengths. This is a very, very easy way to do this. Then we have two ways to randomize our MIDI. For example, right here I have random 1 and I can say I want to randomize the position, I want to randomize the pitch, I want to randomize the velocity or the length. So let's try a few of them. Let's start with the length. So as you can see now it's randomizing the length. Let's try the velocity, and again I'm gonna go from, let's say, right here to here. And as you can see, it creates all these interesting variations, which if you try to do this by hand, it would be quite difficult. And this is completely randomized, which means that it's going to be different every single time. Now I'm going to show you how you can print all this, right? Now let's go and try the pitch. Now this is very interesting, especially if you are into kind of modular kind of territory. You can actually randomize your pitches right here. This is going to be very useful if you're producing atmospheric electronic music. Let's try this. And then we have the position, so I can randomize the position of the notes. So things can get a little bit crazy, but the thing is you can be very, very subtle. So you can say 5 and -10, for example, something like this. And this will take off the edge of this kind of mechanical feel if you don't want that. The same goes for random 2, so we can have 2 randomization options at the same time. And then we have the range. So the range has the same option, so we have position, pitch, velocity, and length. And this actually allows us to limit the actual range of each parameter. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is only possible when using the MIDI modifiers as an insert effect. I'm not sure why, but if we go to MIDI inserts, you will see that if I add the MIDI modifiers plugin, we have scale options as well. So let's say I want to go for a C and I can play. Now let's go for Aeolian. We can have blues, Hungarian. Right now I'm just playing on the white keys. So this is also an option if you want to experiment. Now when you have all these things ready as you want them, you can actually go and save them as presets if you want. So that's actually really, really useful if you want to recall things. And now you're going to ask me, okay, great, let's say that I found some settings that I really like, Dom, but I want to commit to them. I want to commit to these settings and I want to see them in the actual key editor. How can I do this? It's actually very, very simple. What you need to do is you need to select your MIDI part. So for example, let's do something really obvious here. I'm going to do a velocity shift for this piano and transpose this 4 semitones up. And let's say I want to commit to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this MIDI part like this, like so. And then I'm going to go to MIDI and I'm going to select freeze MIDI modifiers and check what happens to this piano part. Boom! There we go. Now we have my piano part. It's actually rendered, and as you can see now I have the new velocities, the new transposition, everything is right there as I set it up with my MIDI modifier. And as you can see now my MIDI modifiers are reset because of course we don't want them to play again. So this is the tool, but there are so many different uses for this tool. I like using the MIDI modifiers when I have repeated hi-hats, I have drum machines and I want to randomize them, I want to change the velocity, I want to change change the length and randomize the length. This actually allows you to make your MIDI parts come alive, make them less mechanical, make them less predictable, which is something that today's music suffers a lot from. So this is one of the tricks that you can use in Cubase to help with that, and I'm pretty sure that if you try it, you're going to enjoy it very, very much. So my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful, and if you did and you want to support the channel, use the super thanks button or check out my instruments, the Modern 80s drum kit and the Apollo expansion for Patch Shop. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.